These 8 orca encounters will make you never want to go to the ocean again. Number 8. This nerve-wracking clip begins with a man peacefully enjoying the cool waters of Tyndall's Bay, New Zealand, when he gets the shock of his life. The calmness of the ocean waves is quickly interrupted by a speedboat coming his way, but also joining him is a huge killer whale. Within moments, the orca gets close to the man and proceeds to go under him with a high degree of stealthiness, passing inches to the man's dangling feet. The man is now in panic and is struggling to keep his composure. The orca does an about turn and silently faces the terrified man. For a moment, the orca is distracted by the surfing tow line that the boaters have let out for the man and is curious about where the line will lead to. The man takes this opportunity to hold onto the tow line and get on top of his kneeboard. But the faster he moves, the faster the orca swims. Unfortunately, the video ends abruptly and what happens next is still unknown. Number 7. In this horrific video, an entertaining whale watching session comes to a standstill after a seal decides to scramble its way onto a nearby boat to get away from the orcas that are after it. At the start of the video, the whale watchers are keenly watching the killer whales hunting down the seal, and are caught by surprise when the clever seal opts to seek refuge on their boat. Without any warning, the seal quickly squeezes itself between the engines of the boat. However, the fun comes to a stop because this move automatically puts the whale watchers in harm's way, as the intelligent orcas know that their awaited meal is on the boat. But there is no way these people can say no to those cute puppy eyes, so they decide to wait and see what the orcas will do. The orcas continue to linger around the boat with their next move still unknown. After some time, the seal feels it's time to get back to the water, but just when its feet have touched the cold surface, the hungry orcas come back ready to strike. The seal is forced to hop back on the boat. Luckily, the orcas do not try to capsize the boat and everyone is safe, including the seal. Number 6. This intense video begins with some men watching a pod of orcas when they see a small head popping out of the water. After taking a closer look, they realize that it's a sea otter doing its best to escape the hungry orcas. With a vicious target on its back, the sea otter quickly swims toward the men's boat. For a moment, the otter disappears from their view and the men think that it has met its fate. But lo and behold, it has already jumped onto the back of their boat for safety. The otter is, however, not expecting any company on the boat, and immediately it sees one of the men coming close. It gets frightened and jumps back into the water. But then, the ferocious predators begin to hunt it again. After narrowly escaping the jaws of death for the second time, the seal decides that it's better off on the deck of the boat, so it hops back. However, the intelligent orcas know of the otter's hiding spot and they begin to hover around the boat. As a result, the waves hitting the boat become even stronger. The men are forced to quickly steer off to a much safer place, where the otter feels safe to get back in the water. Number 5. Off the coast of Anderson Island, a group of friends is excited to see a pod of orcas swimming in the distance and spraying water through their blowholes. But this free live entertainment only lasts up until when the guys realize that the pod of orcas is headed straight for their small rowboat. The panic sets in and they don't know what to do. By the time they can get a hold of their paddles ready to row away, the huge orcas catch up with them and end up passing inches past the boat, causing it to wobble. Fearing that the orcas might come back with more force and capsize their boat, they begin to slowly paddle away. Toward the end of the video, the group of friends can be heard trying to laugh their fear away. Number 4. A seasoned fisherman and his friends are out in the open sea near Little Biorka Island in southeastern Alaska, when they suddenly spot an orca just a few meters from their boat. The man is able to quickly tell that this orca is up to no good. And sure enough, just as he was suspecting, the orca proceeds to yank their anchor line and starts to toy around with it. The man tries to distract the massive creature by throwing a beach ball at it. But this only works for a few seconds as the orca decides to shift its attention to their boat. Unfortunately, the video ends abruptly without showing what happens next. Number 3. On the 2nd of December 2019, an ocean enthusiast is relaxing at Hauraki Gulf in Auckland, New Zealand, when he suddenly notices a disturbance in the otherwise calm sea. Curious as to what is going on, he grabs his kayak and paddles his way into the sea. Struggling to hold his camera in place, he finds himself in the middle of a pod of killer whales. The orcas are supposedly on a stingray hunt, but they come uncomfortably close to the kayak. For safety reasons, he tries to get a little further away from them, but the orcas decide to follow him almost immediately. The killer whales continue to swim side by side with his kayak and even underneath it multiple times. Thankfully, the incident did not escalate further. Number 2. Captured by a GoPro, this heart-racing moment opens with a young man calmly paddleboarding in the open sea when he notices a huge orca stalking him. The orca almost immediately notices that its cover has been blown, and it decides to go under the paddleboard. A stream of cold sweat runs along the man's back, but he chooses to remain calm. The orca continues to tail closely behind him. Moments later, the fierce predator suddenly loses interest and swims away. The young man can finally breathe out. Number 1. This intense video begins with a kayaker watching a pod of orcas swimming in the distance. This unexpected encounter causes the kayaker to be scared stiff. With every passing second, the orcas continue getting closer and closer to the kayak. Unaware of what will happen next, the kayaker becomes uneasy and remains frozen in place. But just when the orcas have gotten close enough, everything suddenly goes silent and there is not one of them in sight. Whatever happens next is still a mystery. Which of these orca encounters do you think was the most terrifying?